What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Aaron Canole, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Battleground. We are back once again in the 0-1 bracket, taking some of these competitors who unfortunately suffered a loss in their first match and giving them that chance to get on, not just in the tournament, but get that first victory. And today we have two competitors who have a lot of similarities in their first matches. Tonight we have Kevin Moreno versus Steve Messa, and both of these guys had a very similar experiences their first time around in that they were both rookies. They had never played any version of Battleground before. They came into that match against high-ranking competitors of the oldest caliber of this game. In Steve's case, he came in playing the first ever champion of Movie Battleground, Evan DeGraff. In Kevin's case, he came in playing the player who I myself have deemed possibly the best player to have never won the title in Jeremy Adams, both of whom were older players. And unfortunately, neither match went the way I think either of these competitors would have wanted it. And it's not by the nature of their performance, as I think, again, in a similarity, they both kind of started off a little nervous and grew into it very well as the game went on. It was just a matter of their opponents were just there and they had the experience that night and it didn't go their way. But both of these guys are here, and I think either one of them, now that they have a match under their belt and now that they're not playing somebody who is overly experienced at this, I think they're both on a level playing field now, and it's going to be interesting to see who pulls it out in this match. So let's go ahead and speak to our competitors briefly before we get going. First up, entering the arena with a record of 0-1, it is Kevin Moreno entering. Kevin, welcome back to the Movie Battleground. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Pretty excited for this. I'm a bit more confident than the last time I played here. Luckily, I think I might stand a chance. I probably let's see, 47% chance of winning. I'm confident with that at least.
47. I think you gave yourself like a 19 or something last time, so we're certainly at
Yeah.
a higher range now. That's good.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, obviously your last match did not go quite the way you wanted. It took you a little bit to grow into the game, and unfortunately, Jeremy is just a very, very good debater, and it did unfortunately end in a knockout. And so, what do you think you can take from that match and kind of bring into this in terms of a more confident looking performance?
Mm, I think know a bit more about my topic. I'm having a bit more confidence in pursuing my argument and go a little bit more into details on why.
All right. Well, Kevin, it's great to have you back. I'm going to go ahead and send you to the back for just a moment as we introduce his opponent, also entering with a record of 0 wins, 1 defeat. He is Steve Messa coming in. Steve, again, welcome back. How's it going, sir?
Um, well, I'm doing all right. I'm trying to battle this thing I have in my throat, so I'll probably be talking really less, even though this is really a platform where the more you talk, the better it is. Courtesy of my previous match with Evan. Uh, Shoot that little YouTube there, say, yeah, yeah, made Aaron chuckle. That's a point on my half there. I say I give myself, he gave himself 47, so maybe I'll give myself a 63% chance of winning just to even out the 100%. But I'm gonna do my best. I'll try, but um, I'm more my strong suit's more trivia. I was going into the last match with thinking, I could try this, and then I didn't get knocked out, so we went to overtime. So
Yep.
that's something I can say that I took the first champ to. We went the distance.
You absolutely did go the distance. All right, guys, we have you both on screen, so let's go ahead and get into Movie Battleground. A Movie Battleground is a best of 5 rounds. It is the first to 3 points gets a win. Each round, should you win it, will award you with 1 point. If a competitor does happen to get 3 points in a row, that is a victory by way of knockout. And if there is a 2-2 tie following the 4 first rounds, we will go to round 5, which is the blind round. However, we'll go more in depth on that should we get there. The first 4 rounds of regulation debate, the competitors were given the questions prior to this match. They were given time to prep however they chose to use it and come in ready for today's match. The debates will go like this. First, there will be a 60-second opening in which you can establish your argument and what you are fighting for. There will be 2 more minutes following that in which you have a chance to kind of explain and expand on your argument. Then we will have the open debate round. This will be 4 minutes long. You guys will have a chance to kind of go back and forth and kind of have a go at each other and get in as many points as possible. And then finally, you have 1 minute to close up and surmise your argument following all of that. Following each round of debate, I am not alone in this. I have 3 judges backstage in the form of Stacey Morris, Jake Reese, and Noah McCausland. They will come on screen at that point and they will give their verdict on who they think won that round. With that said, are you guys ready to go?
Ready.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the first question of the game. And it's interesting for how awful they are, just how often video game movies kind of come up on this show, whether it's because, and I mean it, I'd say a good 5 competitors by this point have selected it as a strength. I think we had one where it happened to coincide with a video game movie. Like, you'd think for a genre called video game films, they wouldn't come up this often, and yet they do seem to. With that said, let's talk about something you wouldn't normally associate with the video game genre. What is the most overrated video game film? Very few of them are positively reviewed. And with that, we are going to talk about the ones that were that we think might not totally deserve the praise they earned. So, with that, Steve, because you were elected the favorite by way of random wheel spin, you elected to go first on questions 1 and 3. So, as I go ahead and bring your timer up for you, and I will pause it, the time will start for the question when you begin speaking.
There's not a lot of movies to pick from when you say overrated video game films. Not a lot at all, really. I mean, because most of the video game films are pretty much crap. But one in particular that stand out the most that is highly regarded in many video game communities is Detective Pikachu. It was very interesting that they brought Detective Pikachu to the big screen with all the Pokemons coming to life and all that Google jazz and great production values, but it's really a meandering film that's centered around Ryan Reynolds. Basically, it's like the kid-friendly Deadpool. I mean, when are we selling? Why are we selling Deadpool to kids when they shouldn't even really realize that? They probably already known about Deadpool before they even watch Detective Pokemon. So I think Detective Pokemon is probably the most overrated video game film of all time.
All right, Kevin, when the clock rolls around to 0, you can go ahead and give your opening.
All right. When thinking about overrated video game movies, no question, it's easily the first Resident Evil movie. Paul W.S. Anderson he did a great job with Mortal Kombat. He pretty much dropped the ball with Resident Evil. It's a generic, forgettable zombie movie. The effects are pretty much now dated, especially with the look of the zombie dinosaurs. One of the creatures that was pretty much from Resident Evil 2, the one with the brain head and the tongue. And most important of all, it's pretty much a vehicle for Mila Jovovich. She's a talented actress in Zoolander, but with Resident Evil, it's just I just she didn't much fit at all as a character of Alice. It just pretty much failed at that. I yield my time.
All right. We'll go back to Steve for 2 minutes. And then as a reminder, generally speaking, if at any point either of you do want to concede your time early as you'd like, just go ahead and let me know and we'll go ahead and skip forward. But Steve, you have up to 2 minutes. Time starts when you begin speaking.
As I said before in my introduction, Detective Pokemon was at most trying its best to focus mostly on Ryan Reynolds' voice work. He's done previous voice work before in movies such as The Croods. And, when I think of Detective Pikachu, I don't exactly think Ryan Reynolds. And I think in some way, Warner Bros. Was doing its best to try to pitch this movie as a kid-friendly Deadpool. However you want to see it, I for some reason I see it as a kid-friendly Deadpool that does its best to try to adapt to the Pokemon world to the best of its ability. Justice Smith, he's not really exactly charismatic as a leading man. I mean, he tries his best, but it just fails on all cylinders. And there's a bizarre plot twist that just comes out of nowhere that just has it's like coming out of a Lloyd Kaufman movie. So if you take the words of Lloyd Kaufman, Deadpool, and Pokemon, you put that all together, guess what you get? You get the most overrated video game film of all time, which is Detective Pikachu. And I concede my time.
All right. Go ahead and skip the clock forward. All right, Kevin, time starts when you begin speaking.
Right. With Resident Evil being an overrated film, it's original to like not only it's just not follow the video game because like it's with the video game, it's a simple formula. Group of people in a house, and it became a lamp pyramid for zombies or even zombie creatures as well. But for some reason, Paul W. Anderson ended up going a different route instead of getting some ideas, and then pretty much rip other things off, like 2001: Space Odyssey, and not only that, it also kind of introduced like not just new characters, also bringing the Umbrella Corporation to begin with, and pretty much kind of entered just generic so Deadbeat A, Deadbeat B, Deadbeat C, including adding a character like Michelle Rodriguez, pretty much being Michelle Rodriguez, uh, especially around like you could tell by by the later scene of you could tell like okay you're dead you're like I'm like oh it's like okay that's okay see it's not even like thinking why should we care about them and like also also if it's Umbrella shouldn't we be rooting against them uh, it's ridiculous with that but not only that okay, so also you kind of wanted to do it in a weird twist a twist of, oh, that person that was with Alice all along, that's the guy just dude, it turned out the traitor, and he actually caused it. I'm like, okay, why? What was the point of that? Like, it was an inside man. Like, okay, and the point of that was no, and pretty much dead by the end of it. Yeah, the point. Oh, and then it comes to build up of no next film we're gonna bring in it's gonna be a full zombie hog in Raccoon City. We're gonna take you to Raccoon City. Like, uh, by then I'm like, yeah, I'm not really interested with this. It's just very interesting. I yield my time.
All right, your time yields for you as well. We are at the 4-minute round. The time will start when the first person speaks. Steve, you are muted in case you're speaking. I see your mouth moving.
Sorry about that. Coughing.
You're good.
Cough. I certainly agree on your points there, but I see Paul W.S. Anderson as an unfounded genius who decided to revitalize Resident Evil. I mean, if we didn't have the first Resident Evil movie, God forbid, we wouldn't even get what the new movie coming out, which is an actual adaptation of the first film, of the first video game.
I would have rather had that one, the one that's being adapted now. I would have had it back then because they kind of could make a point with saying, "Oh, sure, it's good that we have the bad film, so we can reboot." I'm like thinking, I don't know. I would rather have the good film first, what could be a good film, than the bad one because I want it to be a really successful series with it. But okay, but here's the thing with Detective Pikachu, it is it's a really great film that perfectly cements the Pokemon Legacy as it is, and it differentiates it from the actual from the modern series, and it is the perfect adaptation of the game Detective Pikachu that fall that follows the magical world. And also, Ryan Reynolds does not do a Deadpool. He does do a bit of a Ryan Reynolds tactic, but he's not
No,
crass or revolting
no,
like
I mean, no,
Deadpool it is.
I mean, he's as crass as Deadpool can be in a PG movie. He's straight up being Deadpool even without being known. Yes, he's not killing people. He's not throwing cuss words, but I mean, he's being, in my opinion, he's being Deadpool as a little small Pokemon. I'll give credit where the special effects are pretty great, but the plot is meandering. It leads to a pointless plot twist. And at least there's an interesting plot twist in Resident Evil where it turns out that this guy that one of the guys was manipulating the whole thing at the beginning, and you have to give this credit. It has one hell of a kill in that laser room. You gotta admit that was pretty awesome.
Okay. Only the one where he turned into like a fence style, but other than that, you could pretty much tell that's where
It was going for like a phantasm type of vibe. I liked it. For me, it was like a phantasm. Phantasm meets George Romero meets 2001: Space Odyssey.
I don't know. I pretty much don't see it as that. I consider it more like not a phantasm. Of course, I consider more. I say like a generic haunted house movie. If I wanted that, if
Hey, way better than The Haunting. Am I right? Come on.
Yeah. No, not well. It's more of the remake of The Haunting.
That's what I meant. I bet the Owen Wilson, Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones one. The class. No, not that it doesn't touch the classic for sure. I'm just talking about the 1999 Haunting.
Yeah, if you wanted to do more of that, then he should have adapted. I'd say like Maniac Mansion. That could have been a better adaptation than say Resident Evil for it. Or even Clock Tower. That would have fit better for this for Paul W. Standard if you wanted to do that. But no, it pretty much wasn't that. Especially the part. The zombie design really do not look good. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was even more the weakest part of the film.
Speaking of weakest part, I mean, how do you waste Ken Watanabe in a Pokemon film? I think he was completely useless, euthanized, and not related to the plot. The only plot that he switched bodies with his Pokemon, which he has one. I have to admit, his Pokemon's my favorite, Schnubble. I love Schnubble. So that's the only thing I can take out of it. He has one of my favorite Pokemons.
But Ken Watanabe actually fits the part because he actually explains. Okay, he actually worked with his dad. It made perfect sense for him to be like, here this was your dad. We think your dad's dead. So.
Well, they could have been. I think they could have gotten somebody better. I think they could have gotten somebody that was a little less degree Ken Watanabe. I just think he was like.
That is time. And Steve, because you were closing first, you will get to continue that point. You have up to a minute. Time starts when you speak again.
Just wrapping it up, that I thought Ken Watanabe was wasting the role. The role was established for what it was, which is basically exposition. But I thought he was wasted in that role, which he could have done more than what he did in the movie.
All right, you want to concede the time?
Concede.
All right, absolutely. Go ahead and jump the timer forward. Don't worry, guys. Eventually, I will actually take timestamps down. Kevin, once the clock rolls over to 0, your minute will start for your closing.
Okay. Resident Evil is I really do consider it as an overrated video game movie. Pretty much boring generic plot. Pretty much design wise, I think it's really terrible. Especially the part. Okay, the part even the cool scene with the laser to the fence. That scene's been done. Like Paul W. Anderson repeats that scene even with the same actor in Alien vs Predator, and that one I enjoyed way better that part than the laser scene in Resident Evil.
Oh my
And
gosh.
okay, and not only that, that the train yard scene dragged a bit longer than it had to. Even the part where you could tell, like, where Michelle Rodriguez got bit, and it's just you're like trying to, oh, she's gonna betray, she's gonna betray, wait, into the part, she'd happen, quickly dies. Part, I yield my time.
All right, and that will be time on the round. Good first round, guys. I'm going to go ahead and send the timer and yourselves to the back room to await the results as I go ahead and bring in our three judges. Hello, guys. Thank you for being here. And we're going to go ahead and get started with Stacy. Tell me who sold you on the win and what was the main point that did it?
Well, Kevin won, but because Steve made me want to see Detective Pikachu. So he did not convince me that it was overrated because I haven't seen it and now I want to. And that's all.
Right. So Kevin gets the first vote of three potential votes. Mr. Tato, I head to you next. Who gets your vote and what sold you?
With apologies to Noah, I also had Kevin on this one. Interesting one. None of them really explained why it was overrated or anything. I heard a lot of why the movie was bad, but I didn't really hear anything about the rating, actually. It was kind of a weird match that way.
All right. So with that, Kevin, we'll take the first point, guys. I will go ahead and send you to the back. Thank you again. We'll see you all next round as I go ahead and bring in our competitors once again. And we'll go ahead and move on to round number 2, which is focusing on a man by the name of Jerry Bruckheimer. He is a legendary producer in Hollywood. He's done all sorts of types of action films. If you loved an action film during the 90s or the early 2000s, there's a good chance Jerry Bruckheimer's name was attached to it. But just like even the greats of Hollywood, everyone makes a shit film once in a while. Our question is, what is the worst film produced by Jerry Bruckheimer? And with that said, Kevin, you are up first on this one, so I will go ahead and bring up your timer, and it will start ticking when you speak.
When easily thinking about the worst Jerry Bruckheimer film, it was no answer. Grover Pink is the Lone Ranger. It is a bloated mess of a movie. You got a creepy, disgraced actor, Armie Hammer, just pretty much playing a bland version of the character, and also you have the weirdest, and I'm pretty sure also offensive casting of Johnny Depp as Tonto, which it pretty much it's just Johnny Depp being Johnny Depp, and of course you could hear, you try to see at this point as Gore Biggie trying to capture the magic of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, but this one doesn't. In fact, I would rather watch At World's End than this film, and not just that. Even there are parts where it just like have bunny werewolves, and they just completely only there for a few seconds. I get my time.
All right. That'll be it. Steve, we go over to you. Your 1 minute will start when you begin speaking.
When you think about worst film produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, I can only think of one film, and it's Bad Company. No, not talking about the rock and roll band. Talking about the infamous or whatever you want to call it, Anthony Hopkins, Chris Rock pairing. It was doing its best to try to be another 48 hours, except instead of being police, they're CIA agents, and Chris Rock's using his shtick to be the funny man. And basically, Anthony Hopkins is being a straight man. It's basically everything you've seen in a straight in Rush Hour movies, and even in Lethal Weapon. Basically, if you took the same character at Lethal Weapon, Detective Butters, and put him as a CIA agent, you basically have the same character in that movie. It's really bloated. It's really bad. It's predictable, and it's not fun to watch. I yield my time.
All right, Kevin, I'm going to let the clock roll down. Once it hits 0, your time will start for your 2 minutes.
with Lone Ranger being a bloated myth, you can not only the part is it's a 2.5 hours long. One especially the part where it does the whole Princess Bride scene where it's Johnny Depp like in inside a museum talking to a kid, saying, "What happened to the story? What happened to the story?" And there are times where it cuts the story and goes to that scene, and like, which just drags the movie a bit. Um, the only two good, interesting parts of the movie were William Friedkin because he does play a great villain, and Silver the horse because Because come on, the horse gets more emotion than everyone else. Michelle Monaghan, who's in this movie, is just give a surprise that we can forward, and she is in better films than this. She is. She does better films than this. And then of course there's a quick appearance of Helena Bonham Carter as Helena Bonham Carter. It's it's grass. It's offensive. It's boring, and not only that, it's like the Corbucci style, its film style of including it, like could do from say Edwards, and it's film gray. It's a pretty much like a grayish film. The lack of coloring is this one, especially for a western. I think you could do an interesting thing with the western, but for some reason it's a little colorful. Like, but for some reason it just started to make it gray. Make it just gray. It. I yield my time.
All right. Go ahead and bring the timer up. All right. Steve, I'll unpause it when you begin speaking.
All right. All right. Bad Company. Again, not the band, but the movie. Though I would understand why the confusion would be there, because you would think you're listening to some rock, get it, some Chris Rock, but no. All seriousness aside, it has a to be fair, it has a unique concept. It has a promising comedy concept for this buddy action movie, but what it ends up turning into is this. It evolves from something that has potential to be really hilarious to where they take it so serious that it legit feels like you're watching a serious Jerry Bruckheimer spy thriller. Like you're watching Enemy of the State, and Anthony Hopkins is filling the Gene Hackman role, and Chris Rock is filling the Will Smith role. Was it basically Enemy of the State part? It's Enemy of the State like part deux, basically. It's like Hot Shots version of Enemy of the State, and it just goes nowhere. It has a pointless bad guy. He has the predictable plot points where somebody in the company's betrayed somebody for somebody, and then they had to hire the twin brother and get him to go along with it, and he's the low rent hustler, and he's a CIA agent guy, and it's a predictable mess, and it's just there's no point in watching it, and just all you can do is just watch it drop from your hand as it slowly falls into the 99-cent bin at your local gas station. I yield my time.
Well, your gas stations come with DVDs?
Yeah,
man.
Absolutely, man. We're balling that way, brother.
Also, I appreciate the pun.
All right. I'll let the clock roll down from here. Once it turns, the first person can speak. We are into our 4 minutes.
Two, one. Kevin, floor is all yours, my friend.
All right. So I don't know. With Bad Company, you're kind of pretty much describing a generic buddy cop film, and I'm pretty sure around the 2000s there were pretty much a few more left, like Showtime with Robert De Niro, and pretty sure with Martin Lawrence.
No, Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
confused with National Treasures.
I don't blame you to make that common mistake, Yeah, I don't blame you to make that common mistake. There was a lot of buddy cop movies, but this was the worst. Like Showtime has a degree. Yeah, Anthony Hopkins has an Oscar, and Robert De Niro has an Oscar. Eddie Murphy was trying his best to be funny. Chris Rock was just basically taking all his comedy stuff, his shtick, and just placing him in a movie in basically another role where he, it's very similar to what he was trying to do in a Book of Spiral, where he just basically tried to be funny in a movie that just has a whole bunch of seriousness to that. It's not funny at all. And Lone Ranger, it's like, I agree. It's terrible. It's bad. It's racist.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. You cannot find Lone Ranger. I think pretty sure right now in Disney Plus yet. It's still not on there for some reason. But with Bad Company, it's like.
Well, funny thing, you also can't find Bad Company. How about that? Oh, you can't find Bad Company, and that's a Touchstone Picture movie, which is part of the Disney Plus and all that jazz.
But then again, you can't find most. Yeah, but here's the thing: you can't find most Touchstone Pictures there either. Well, you can't even find Circus. But here's the thing: this one is a Disney film. They put in Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, but they have yet to put in The Lone Ranger, and also. Lone Ranger is an adaptation of a TV show that I'm pretty sure it does not catch the magic of it, and especially with with disgraced creepy actor Armie Hammer.
Well, to be fair, he was not a disgraced creepy actor until news came up. But I see your point. Yeah. Now we talk about TV films. This Bad Company. Why couldn't they make that a TV show rather than the movie? I mean, I would have at least seen a limited series made by HBO or Showtime or Cinemax to be Bad Company, have Anthony Hopkins and Chris Rock. If they would have, I think they would have made it better if they just extended it to a 10-episode miniseries, limited series. But no, they didn't have the capabilities at the time because of the year and all this other stuff. But if they thought about five steps ahead, they would have been, have booming business ahead of them.
I need to see what Armie Hammer did. Okay, I've been not talking about Armie. Not going to talk about his history, but as the character of the Lone Ranger, he is the most blandest generic dude actor there.
I see Blander. I mean, you talk about bland. Yeah. I mean, Brandon Routh. Holy shit, dude.
True. But here's the thing. This is Armie Hammer after The Social Network, where he gave a Superman performance playing twins, but him playing the main character of a Lone Ranger, he could have shown off the craft. He could have shown like the character of the Lone Ranger. He just surprisingly acts wooden, and I'm like, okay, but you're the Lone Ranger. You're supposed to be all like heroic. You're the cowboy. The guy again. I got a more magnificent performance from Silver the horse. The horse is acting better than the star himself.
Hey, I'm gonna say this: Barry Pepper was great in that movie.
True.
There you go. It can't be completely bad if you can completely have a really great Barry Pepper performance. Every Barry Pepper performance, at least, brings the movie to a degree. So you can't really say it's the first film produced by Bruckheimer if it has a really good Barry Pepper performance.
Yes, but that's a small tiny percent. That's a point. That's a 0.0001 point of that.
All right, and that is going to be time on the open round. We will go ahead and move into the closings. Kevin, you're up first. Your 1 minute starts and you begin speaking.
Lone Ranger, it's the worst cherry Bruckheimer film. It's not just boring. It's also offensive with the whole casting of Johnny Depp. Its visuals are really bad. The abandonment on a couple of story elements, especially like I said at the very beginning about the the cannibalistic werewolf rabbit, that just comes out of nowhere. Just Tonto just throws like a piece of meat, and for some reason, rabbits are are just rapidly eating the meat. Actually, surprisingly, pun not intended, but still, it's like that's an interesting part, and especially there were apparently there was supposed to be part of werewolves. Not any of the film. Not any of the film. It's 2.5 mess of just bland, generic stuff, and no wonder this movie bombed. This movie is not well at all, and I yield my time.
All right. Steve, I will head over to you for the last minute on the clock. Time starts when you begin speaking.
Worst film produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Worst film produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Yeah, people can argue Lone Ranger. Many other films that I can't list at the top of my head. But Bad Company beats them all. I mean, you got it's literally a pointless piece of garbage and made from celluloid that basically makes Michael Caine's performance in Jaws the Revenge look like a masterpiece compared to Anthony Hopkins' performance in Bad Company. It's just it's unwatchable. The action scenes are jammed together for no reason, and it just has a useless point in terms of it. Just basically was just a money grab for both Chris Rock and Anthony Hopkins, in which they wanted to do it. With Jerry Bruckheimer movies, they come with a lot of money, but unfortunately for them, it didn't rock the box office. I yield my time.
All right, we end on a pun fitting of a round where we're talking about bad movies. So we'll go ahead and send both of you guys to the back and bring in our 3 judges. Now, in terms of any fact checking, for the most part, the guys were pretty clean. But if you're paying attention, I do have an Xbox controller in my hand. When they started bringing up streaming, I was curious to see what I could actually find. So I quite literally turned on my Xbox and just hopped on my different streaming apps. So from what I can find, or at least what I pay and have access to, the reason The Lone Ranger is currently not on Disney Plus is because it is still tied up in a previous contract Disney had with Starz, where a lot of their adult films were given to streaming rights to Starz. The Lone Ranger streamer rights have not expired, but Disney have already publicly said, as with everything else, once it does expire, it will go on Disney Plus. They just legally cannot upload it yet because it's on another service. As for Bad Company, with the time that I had, I could not find it on any of the major separate paid streaming sites. However, if you do happen to have Amazon, which means you have Amazon Prime Video, it is available to rent for $3.99. So it is at least available to view should you want to pay for it. With that said, Jake, I will go to you first on this one. Who sold you, and what was the main point that sold you?
Interesting facts there. Unfortunately, I guess for Steve, they don't matter because Kevin won it on the Disney Plus argument for me. Because Kevin lobbed it, Steve tried to counter, but Kevin came back with the counter on that one. So, and also the offensiveness and that part.
Okay, Noah, I head over to you next. Who gets your vote, and what do you think, and what sold it?
Steve's going to get my point just because he was a little bit more concise with his arguments, and instead of just trying to recap the movie.
Okay. All right. So we have a 1-to-1 split, which means Stacy, I head to you. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold it?
Kevin gets my vote, and Johnny Depp as Tonto is really all you need to say. Even Steve said it's racist. That kind of makes it the worst.
All right. I'll go ahead and send you guys to the back. Thank you. As I bring back in our competitors, and we go ahead and move on to question number 3. And as this is going up sometime at an unspecified point in the middle of November, because I don't have my calendar up in front of me and I don't remember when this exactly uploads, we are in the middle of the holiday season. It is a time in which everyone can just kind of sit back and enjoy themselves. And so I thought it would be fun to throw out the question, what is the best holiday season film of all time? So now, just so the judges understand the parameters of the question, the competitors were allowed to choose a film that is attached to any major holiday that falls within the holiday season. I personally have dignified this from Halloween, since it is the last day of October, all the way through to Christmas, meaning any holiday that falls in the middle, whether it's a film about Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Boxing Day if you're British, any film that kind of falls in, maybe New Year's Day, although that Gary Marshall film's a piece of crap and I can't think of anything else offhand, so probably not that. Anything that falls in that time frame of the year and is centered around a holiday directly or a holiday related thing is what we will go over in this question. With that said, with the wide breadth of options our competitors had, Steve, you are up first on this round, and you will have 1 minute on the clock when you begin speaking.
Well, God knows when this is going up. So if we're talking about current holiday settings, and as of this date, October 20th, Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m., we're getting very near to Halloween, and the most seminal movie to celebrate Halloween is, of course, no, it's not Trick or Treat. No, not Trick or Treat. No, it's Halloween, the original 1978 John Carpenter classic. This was the movie. This was a slasher film, a bloodless slasher film, by the way, that put slasher films on the map, and had many to a lot of copycats try to replicate the formula to little to no success. Nothing could beat Halloween. Even the current Halloween movie, Halloween Kills, and the Halloween 2018 version couldn't even replicate the magic that is the one of the best horror films of all time. You have my time.
All right. So the first one goes to Halloween. Kevin, we move over to you. Your opening minute starts when you begin speaking.
Okay, with the I consider this holiday film is I consider something okay, it's a well-known picture, but I want to go with this one because it's the one it brings the childlike wonder of this story, and I feel like it works, and it's the main forefront. It's the holiday of Christmas, and that is A Muppet's Christmas Carol. You have such a wonderful film with such amazing puppeteering with the Muppets. You have Gonzo playing Charles Dickens, and you heard the story with Thrat. You have a truly magnificent performance of Michael Caine playing lead, and especially with him interacting with them, it's such brings this childlike wonder of this amazing story. It's so heartwarming, and it's pretty much a really great adaptation of a Christmas Carol. I yield my time.
All right. And for the sake of consistency throughout the battle, so we get this, don't hold it against him, judges. He got a little excited and slipped up in the moment. Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yes.
Michael Caine plays.
Sorry.
Let's just put the fact check out there now.
Yeah,
You're good.
thank you.
All right.
I'm gonna get judged by the comment section as well. Sorry. You can sorry. I feel bad.
All right, Steve. Do you need a character's name to keep this fair?
No, we're good, man. No big deal, man. We all get excited in the moment, and we don't. Sometimes we don't remember characters' name when we're get real excited. So no, we're good.
Your killer is Michael Myers, not the guy who played Shrek. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, you know what? I thought it was gonna be. You know what? I thought it was I thought it was William Shatner. Shit. All right.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong about that. Time starts when you speak, man. 2 minutes for you.
All right. Listen. There is no better holiday season, but people think, Christmas, Thanksgiving, President's Day, Boxing Day, Valentine's Day. No. Halloween blows all those movies out of the water. It is the one and only perfect Halloween movie you can watch on a season. Whether you watch it outside of Halloween or on Halloween itself, it's a masterpiece. Nothing has beat this movie in terms of replicating. Even Trick or Treat tried to do its best to try to overthrow Halloween of its throne of being the king of Halloween movies. No. Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, as Laurie Strode and Dr. Sam Loomis, respectively. Once the hunter searching for his his patient. The other one is an innocent babysitter who is not completely related to them at all, as it would retcon in many movies. And it's the movie itself. The movie itself starts on a really creepy note, and the fact that it's starting on a POV, the first use of the Steadicam in a movie, which was also guided by I believe Dean Cundy, who was a cinematographer, and the hands of Deborah Hill, who was the hands of little Michael Myers. Starts on a really creepy note, and it just gets creepier as the movie progresses from his escape to his endless stalking to the eventual killing of the babysitters to his seminal defeat that would obviously lead to more movies. Whether it's they put in the the moment where they find it's his sister, and in 2, whether it's part 3 where it's a completely different story, or it's 4, 5, 6 where they killed the lead Jamie Lee Curtis characters and then focus on a younger, more generational lead in Jamie Lloyd, and then just completely shits the bed up until 2018. I yield my time.
All right, Kevin, I'll pause the clocks for a second for you, but time will restart once you speak.
Why do you consider Muppet Christmas Carol is as the best holiday season film? It's one main fact is the holiday is also at its forefront. It's part of this movie. Michael Caine as Ebenezer Scrooge. Thank you. What gives everybody an extra performance, especially you really do hate him at first, but then eventually when he meets the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future, or take him as his journey. It's you see and understand, and eventually go to the heart, especially when he sees especially when the goes to Christmas future takes him on the journey of the future journey and the tragedy of what happens, especially with little Timmy, and especially what seems great. You see the heartbreak of Michael Caine giving such a magnificent performance, and also it has some wonderful music, uh, uh, from the opening to the mid part, especially part of the feast number in the past. Oh, plus if I remember, it's Brian Henson does a magnificent job directing. It's and so magnificent performance directing the films, and including part that I love about this, especially because I'm a big fan of Muppets, especially puppeteering. It's the design of not just of both the past, the present, and the future, especially the future one. It's a really creepy design. Wow, truly phenomenal puppeteering. It it's still such a wonderful film. I yield my time.
All right, I will pause the clock for just a second to give you guys a chance to recollect your thoughts. And also, Steve, if you want to unmute yourself just so you're ready. And then the time will start when the first person speaks.
I mean, you talk about music. I mean, dude, the music in Halloween made by John Carpenter is iconic. I mean, it's just iconic. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, the songs when you hear them in Muppets Christmas Carol, but really, do you actually remember them? I mean, do you remember them past the movie? In my opinion, they're just forgettable. But that's just me.
Well, yeah, because
Muppets, on the other hand,
Muppets.
always recurring, whether it's in different movies, different genres, current Halloween products.
Yeah,
Those
because
are
they use the same theme song throughout the series, excluding the third one. Yeah, it's the same theme song as excluding the third one, where they always use that one. But also with the Muppets, a Muppets forefront, it's always music. It's always the music. Throughout the whole Muppet franchise, music is always a forefront with it. And let me just say, let's see, um, the 2018 one did a far better job with Halloween.
Whoa! Hold your horses there, my
Yes.
friend. Hold your horses. We're talking about 1978. You're going to a different whole realm. Now, I'm not going to say that the Muppet movie is way better than the Muppet Christmas Carol, which it is, but that's a whole different fact.
Yeah.
We're talking about the current product. Don't slander.
I know that I would bag the claim because, like,
We did
of that.
1978, dude. You see, one of the movies that made slasher films the craze of the 1980s. It's one of the most bloodless horror movies you could probably show to somebody that doesn't get sickened by gore. Masterful suspense by John Carpenter. Hell, I'll even say it's better than The Thing. It's a masterpiece, and there's really nothing more you could say about that, in my opinion.
Like, yeah, you could say it, like, it's also a bit slow, and also, technically, if you look at it now, you kind of can't take it seriously now because of with other slasher films like
people
the
making
Scream.
people making films in 1978 compared to making films now. That's like having the patience of a saint in the 70s, while you have all the ADHD type of viewers looking for the jump cuts because they can't help but like the lights and like the special effects and just like oh it cuts over here and over there. Yeah, it's made differently compared to now. If you were to show something from the past, a lot of the people, mostly younger people, are going to find it way boring. But if you have a love for film and a love for horror film, Halloween is a masterclass in how to make an effective horror film without any drop of blood, and at least finding its way to make a slow build that crescendos into like basically the epic fight between a masked stranger and a babysitter, and basically the babysitter almost getting like one off him almost every freaking time, stabbing him in the eye, stabbing him in the chest, stabbing him with whatever instrument. Yes, she makes quite some decisions that are a little mystifying, but in the heat of the moment, you can't help yourself to just drop an instrument of destruction to defend yourself. When you think you defeated the boogeyman.
True. Well, okay. I also like to add a fact, or one thing you said in your opening. You think it was watch the film Halloween and best way part, not just the holidays. The problem is with Halloween, and I'm going to say that because, like, as much as I love the series, you can't. It's Halloween is just a title alone. The holiday is not the forefront until a few of the sequels. You could and here's the with this one you can easily replace. You can set the settings at a different date, even before Halloween. You can set it as around there. With Muppets Christmas Carol, Christmas is the forefront of the movie. It's about Christmas as well. That's what makes it the best holiday season film of all time. It's because what matters is not just the message part of the holiday. It's also it brings the holiday to at the forefront of the movie as well. Halloween, you kind of really doesn't
it's literally in its title, and it's literally people talking but nothing but Halloween, talking about making pumpkins. There's Tommy Doyle dressed as a skeleton, or there's a Lindsay dressed as a gypsy. I mean, literally, how could you not say it's not about Halloween and you replace it with some other holiday?
I mean,
when
you
it's
could
literally the title of the movie.
All right, Steve, you are the person who will close first. So you have the chance to continue your points. Time starts when you speak.
My opponent here says that you can replace any day, any setting with Halloween. But the fact of the matter is this: you cannot, because it's titled Halloween. It is set in Halloween Day, and it's basically centered around Halloween. Yes, there's Christmas Carol is Christmas. Of course, it has Christmas in its title. As long Halloween has Halloween in its title, you can't say that that this movie could be replaced on a different day than just Halloween, because then it would not be called Halloween. Seriously, it wouldn't be called Halloween. Again, best John Carpenter movie, bloodless, scary horror film, and builds suspense like no other, and fantastic music better than the Muppets Christmas Carol. I yield my time.
All right. So as the clock rolls around, since there's about 10 seconds left, I'm going to go ahead and let it roll. Kevin, once it flips to 0, you can go ahead and have your minute. As this will be the final minute of the round.
Muppets is holiday season film of all time. It brings holiday in the forefront. It even including with the music and the puppeteering and the performance of Iridescence Scrooge, especially around the setting part. The the main point of it is it's the forefront of the best season holiday film of all time. Halloween, you could say it's the first film, or you could say it was the sequel. Oh, it's the better slasher film part. But the most important part of the best season holiday film is what brings the holiday to life. Muppets Carrot brings the holiday to life throughout the movie, especially with not just the setting, right, but also the music, the characters, even the time with the narration. I yield my time.
All right, and that will be the end of the round, gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and send you to the back for your little mid-round break as we bring in our judges to decide this one. So just a little quick fact checks again related to things that were said. So first, Steve sounded slightly unsure, but he was correct on his claim that the opening shot, the cinematographer of the film was Dean Cundy, and it was specifically the producer and co-writer Deborah Hill who was being shown as they were using her to kind of frame the first-person perspective shown at the start of the film. So that is correct. A Muppet's Christmas Carol was in fact directed by Brian Henson, the son of Jim Henson. For anyone who was unaware, especially if you've recently seen Halloween Kills, which is one of the most goriest films I've seen in a good little bit, the original Halloween does in fact have no blood and gore. It was a studio mandate given to Carpenter, and he absolutely worked with it. Also, not a fact, but for what it's worth, as somebody who is both young and not a fan of horror, the original Halloween, very effective if you have patience. Halloween is in fact ingrained in Halloween. The original murder shown at the start of the film was on Halloween night, and the film takes place over the course of October 30th and October 31st. In fact, the only film in the series to not basically completely take place on Halloween night is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but the entire film is building up to an event that is set to take place on Halloween, and if I remember correctly, the end of the film is on Halloween, but a large chunk of it does not take place on the actual night. Everything else is within a day or two before and Halloween night itself. So with that said, we will go ahead and go to our judges. Noah, I head to you first. Who gets your vote for this round, and what was the main point that sold you?
It's hard because I'm hearing a lot of this movie is the best, and that's pretty much it. But I'm going to go ahead and have to give it to Steve because of his point that it was effective because it was, even though it was bloodless and it had the suspense building all the way through the film.
Okay. Stacy, I head to you. Who sold you for the point?
Nobody, because the correct answer is Elf. Obviously, I'm kidding.
Now that aside.
I have to give it to Steve. He sold me on just the importance of the film as one of the first slashers and putting them on the map. Bringing up the opening shot, the point of view shot with the steady cam, really, I thought was a great point. And the music, the score as well.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back. Thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and bring back in our competitors. And I'm going to assume by Kevin's comment in the private chat, I'm going to assume you like Halloween.
Oh yeah, I love John Carpenter's Halloween, especially the original because I had the 35th anniversary Blu-ray like on my shelf, and it's hard to fight against.
Pardon me, why did you shit on it if you love it so much, man? You had to build an argument on for your film, not against mine.
All right.
If
we can discuss why he shat on it later. The man wants to win.
I had to find a way to argue against it, no matter how much I love it. It's hard.
So we clearly have two guys that can enjoy themselves a good horror film, which actively means we're going to talk about some crap next. The question is, what is the worst horror film released in the decade of the 2010s? We got 10 whole years. I'm going to take a shot and bet that David Gordon Green's Halloween is not one of the two choices selected. I feel confident in saying that because I can see the choices that were selected. But that movie's also good, like the first good one in a long time. So, that'd be a disgrace. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and bring back the timer. And Kevin, you are up first on this one. So your first minute will start when you begin speaking.
Part. So for pick for the worst horror film film released in 2010, there is no easy way. There is an easy way to say this. The Devil Inside. The Devil Inside is not one of the laziest, generic. In fact, I'm pretty sure quite rip-off found footage films. It's 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 boring. It's said to be an hour 30 minutes runtime when in fact it just only uses that for the slow 8-minute credits, and it's not just one of the worst horror films of release 2010s. It's also one of the worst horror films and films of all time. I yield my time.
All right. Kevin ending that by making a very definitive statement. Because we're at about the 10-second mark, Steve, I'm going to let the clock roll. If you do need a pause, let me know. But if not, you can start speaking when it hits 0.
Okay. I've got 5 letters for you. 5? It's 5, I think. Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. Holy shit. When we describe shit, this is not just shit. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is the not even excrement. This is excrement. I mean, we're talking about boring lead actors in Armie Hammer. Boring lead actors. I haven't seen boring. The most boring lead actor I could find is Brandon Routh. I mean, he was pegged to do Superman, and I believe he was the one. Besides the fact that he looked like the original, Christopher Reeve, there's really nothing to him. Really nothing to him. And he brings that same energy here, Dylan Dog, where it's a ripoff of Constantine. And it's an unfunny mess with bad CGI and terrible acting. It's just completely terrible. Would not recommend to watch it at all. So, Dylan Dog, Dead of Night, the worst horror film released in the 2010s.
All right, Kevin, you have 2 minutes back on the clock. Time starts when you begin speaking.
The reason why I really consider Devil Inside one of the worst films of the horror films of 2010s is that with horror film footage, you can't go wrong with it. They're pretty much easy to film, and you can make do your own spin of it. For some reason, it couldn't even do even the most simplest job at to be scary, especially with something like Exorcism, which Last Exorcism did it. It came out a year before, but it proved itself to do that. But for some reason, it failed to do that. But it not only just failed to do that, it also insults its audience as well, and it doesn't even know what it could be. It wants to be like, a full straight up horror found film or horror mockumentary, especially with one of the posters of the film is of a creepy blind nun, and you see that nun in the movie for a quick 1 second, and then she just passed the camera away from her. What was the point of marketing that the blind nun in the poster? And not only that, there is especially a small part of the film where the 2 people holding the camera are in different sections, but for some reason there's a third camera right behind them, and it just broke the illusion of the found footage film to begin with. It's such a horrible mess, but not only that, the film has no ending. It just at a moment apart where a car accident happens, the movie stops, turns to blank, and it has a screen and it had try to call us of like these films actually happen. Like no, none of this follow evidence appear to know what happened in this event. If for more information, go to this website link at the end of the credits. It's in the Blu-ray, it's in the digital release, and it's on its own Paramount Plus. That ending so intact, the website doesn't exist. I yield my time.
All right, Steve, back to you. 2 minutes when you speak.
Hold on, I'm gonna blow my hands so I'm about to wipe the dirt. Hold on a second. They're about to bury this movie right here, brother. Bury it 6 feet deep. Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. It's more like Dead on Arrival. But oh my god, just how could you? How could you mess up having? I haven't messing up film noir with horror. I don't know what it is with film noir and horror that it doesn't mix for some reason. At least for most movies, I'm sure there's certain movies that I can't really name certain movies that have mixed film noir with horror. The only thing I can think of that's kind of in that realm is Naked Lunch. David Cronenberg with Peter Weir, Weller. Weird ass movie, but besides the point, this movie is just it's a piece of shit. It's garbage. It's Dead on Arrival. It has a great cat. It has Peter Stormare. Peter Stormare, who is like the patron angel of stealing scenes in every movie that he's in. And he does steal a scene, and he's probably the one highlight. But even him, he couldn't elevate this movie to where it could have been. It even have Tay Diggs, and it even has one of my favorite wrestlers. I love wrestling. It has one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Kurt Angle, in the movie as a Russian werewolf. And I'm like, oh God, no, Kurt. God, no. Why? What did they do to my baby boy? It's really something that you need if you really want to watch it. If you have the compulsion to watch it, I'm going to say don't, because I know it's going to feel like one of those guilty pleasure movies, but it's really not. The only guilty pleasure you'll feel is once the credits have ended, is like, oh no, what have I done with my life? I need to move on and keep going. And I gotta wash this taste out of my mouth, because you're gonna feel guilty for watching this movie, and then you might even need to crap your movie to even wash the taste out of your mouth. If anything, how about I recommend you R.I.P.D. That's a much better film that at least does Dylan Dog Dead of Night better than Dylan Dog Dead of Night does itself.
All right. And that'll be time on the 2 minutes. Gentlemen, we're going to move on to the 4-minute open debate round. The time will start when the first person speaks.
I'm going to clap that because I don't hate R.I.P.D. I just quite enjoy that film.
And that's why I recommend it over Dylan Dead of Night, man, because at least R.I.P.D. was trying to do something with its premise, and trying to be a little bit more unique. But it's just that film. I don't know. Again, I don't know what it is about film noir and horror that really doesn't mix. There's really no films besides what I just mentioned, Naked Lunch, and it's not even technically a horror film. It's more like a sci-fi film, if anything. Body horror, yes, it's body horror, but horror film in itself, not really. It's pure. It's really there's really no need for the dig it. Devil Inside at least had. And look, Devil Inside had good stuff. For the first half, had good stuff for the first half of the movie. And then
but you could see those good stuff in other films. You could see it in the last Exorcist film. Hell, you could see that in The Exorcist. They ripped off The Exorcist, especially the scene about your mother's a whore.
What other movie has not ripped up The Exorcist? Literally any movie that involves religion, really. You have The Exorcism of Emily Rose. You have The Last Exorcism. And I believe those movies came out way before this movie came out. I believe so. I'm not 100% of that, but I believe so.
The Lectures came out in 2010. This My film came out in 2012. But here's the thing, though. The last with The Devil Inside, it was pretty much it's sadly considered a film when it didn't even qualify. It's sadly, which doesn't really qualify. It had no ending, because I would say your film has an ending, but the reason why I mentioned the whole end credit thing, because the website that is still in the movie, the website no longer exists. They
Oh.
still put that there. It's still there. And yet, when you try to go to that website, it doesn't exist. Paramount worked,
But
marketed this film with that tagged on ending, and yet they decided not to renew the website.
To be fair, I believe they also. I might be wrong, but I do believe they also run something similar to the Blair Witch Project. I believe they do something at the end of the credits where they do run something similar to what the Devil Inside was trying to do.
Did not.
And
only
that
the second one though, but that wasn't found footage.
As
So
well, a lot of the film websites that are projected on the tag of at the end of certain movies. Yeah, I mean that's like saying you're going to try to call a number on in a movie and try to see if that number still exists. That's almost the same argument there.
Yeah, but here's the thing: those films lasted. That thing lasted longer. This film lasted for only 4 months. 4 months it lasted, and yet they still kept that.
Hey, Dylan Dog didn't even last a month in the theater. I mean, that's how bad.
Oh.
Not even a month, dude. I was working that theater when that movie came out. That movie got out the first week it came out. You know why? Because it was complete utter garbage. At least The Devil Inside had brought some money where I was actually cleaning the movie theater, and it actually kept me employed. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. The Devil Inside kept me employed, and it at least kept my Januaries from being very boring, and it made a whole bunch of money while it was pointless at the end. At least it made more money than Dylan Dog Dead of Night, more like Dog of a Movie. Not even
because people got scammed from this movie. People booed this movie. They booed the end credits. It hasn't not only
people walked out of Dylan Dog Dead of Night after the first 10 minutes.
See, people know got it filmed F Cinema Score. It has a 5% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It came out in January and has one of the highest film jobs for a film.
Still number one in the box office, though.
Got out.
Number one in the box office, though.
Yeah, and that's still a mistake. Even Transformers was number one at the box office, and people hate that movie. So,
and that is time. All right, Kevin, you have the first say on the closing. Time starts when you begin speaking.
The Temple Side is one of the worst horror films to the 2010s. It's a theory film. It insults its audience by making it they think, oh, these things actually happened. This is real event. Only for it to be like, nope. We're like, nope. We're like, we got your money, suckers. Ha 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 ha. With a link that did not only lasted about 4 months. It's rabid. It's still regarded as not just one of the worst horror films of the 2010s, but also one of the worst films of all time. In fact, I consider it an insult to be considered a film when it's only technically an hour and 23 minutes long, when it has the slowest credits of all time. It's really this. I'm pretty sure us now can easily walk past this line while the credits are still rolling.
And that is time. Steve, back to you. You have 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you begin speaking.
I mean, what kind of film? I mean, we know what kind of film Dylan Dog Dead of Night is, but what kind of film wastes its cast? Besides casting a lead that has the charisma of an ant. You have Taye Diggs. I mean, Taye Diggs is almost great in everything, and you make Taye Diggs look bad in a movie. That should be a film crime. That should be a reason to take away your directing license, your cinematography license, or whatever the responsibility for that. Dylan Dog, I sentence you to be jailed forever and not to be seen by anything other than probably people who go to hell. I yield my time.
Well, that's a strong way to end that one, but it does end it. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and send both of you to the back. and bring on our judges. So to talk about the things that were brought up, we talked about both the quality of these films and at nauseum the box office of these films. So for what it's worth, both these films got absolutely shit on in terms of critical reception. Dylan Dog Dead of Night received a 7% like rating on Rotten Tomatoes at the time of its release. The Devil Inside released a barely lower 5%, although let's be real, when you're that low, you're both piles of shit. You're splitting hairs at that point. In terms of box office, both were actually correct. Dylan Dog Dead of Night opened on April 29th, 2011 to an 18th ranking, making under $750,000 at its domestic box office. It left theaters after 3 weeks. Meanwhile, The Devil Inside made over $100 million worldwide. It was in domestic theaters for over 2 months, including opening at number one to $33.7 million. And in fact, by many commentators on the horror community, it is considered the reason that horror films over the last few years, crappy horror films, have come out in January. Specifically, film writer C. Robert Cargill wrote a whole expose on it. For those who don't know who he is Scott Derrickson's writing partner. So he wrote the Sinister films, he wrote Doctor Strange, and he wrote the upcoming film The Black Phone. He actually wrote an expose on this film and basically credited its success solely for why movie studios immediately moved to putting bad horror films in January, because it proved that if you market it the correct way to entice an audience, no matter what the quality of the film is, people will go see it. And he said he compared this film's opening weekend to what horror films in January used to make in a worldwide gross, which is in fact a fact if you do the statistical number research. So it really did revolutionize box office for shit films. Either way, these movies are terrible. None of that was in the argument. That's just fun stuff that I found. So I will go to our judges who are listening to the argument fully. Stacey, I head to you. Who gets your point, and what was the main thing that sold you?
Kevin gets my point, and the main thing that sold me is all the stuff about the ending. I haven't seen either film, but now the thought of ever watching this one and it really not having an ending or a website, I will never consider watching it now.
All right, and Jake, I head to you. Who gets your vote, and what sold you?
I did also enjoy the no ending thing and the old website bit, but the way Steve countered it with the phone, like that would be like expecting to call a phone number in the thing. And then Steve came in heavy on the end bit. So my point went to Steve on that one.
All right, which means Noah, we head to you. Who gets your vote, and what sold you?
I was hoping it wasn't going to come to this because I was flipping a whole lot back and forth during that last closing argument between the two, not the closing argument, but the debate between the two of them. But Kevin eventually walked away with it just because he countered with the 5%. And the worst horror movie doesn't have anything to do with how much it made at the box office, considering there are good movies that do fucking horrible at the box office. But in fact, the Rotten Tomatoes score of 5% lends me to give my point to Kevin.
All right, so I'll go ahead and send you guys out of here because your winner by a score of 3-1, Kevin Moreno, coming out with the victory. And I'm going to go ahead and jump here. And Kevin, I will say, man, I know your first match, there was a lot of nerves going into it. You definitely brought the heat this match. It was a big step up from match 1 to match 2, sir. How are you feeling?
Tired.
Fair. That's the biggest complaint.
Tired, but oh my god, that was difficult. He brought it. The hard part was the third one. Like, I love Joe Carpenter's Halloween, and I hate bad mouthing it, but I just I had to do what I'm supposed to do, sadly. But it was to me, it was worth it in the end. I'm glad I got this win, and I can't wait to see what else they can do.
All right. So with that, you will be moving on to the next round of the tournament. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know how you feel, you find yourself in a rather interesting position as your next opponent is one of the two players in the match that we had to completely replace, where originally it was, as said previously, Jacob Barber and Hunter Chambliss. Unfortunately, for very personal reasons, both of them had to drop at different points. So we replaced them with Linus Babcock and Ethan Klein, both of whom are competitors who have experience debating previously, but have not done this in a very, very long time. What are your thoughts about? Do you know either of them? And then, if you do, what are your thoughts?
I do not, sadly. So, and especially when you just say, "Oh, they played before," and like so the history. So I'm like, I'm worried now.
Oh, don't get yourself too worried. Their match will definitely, obviously, the match will be out, so you'll have a chance to get a look at them. But Kevin, thank you again, sir, and I look forward to having you back in the future. We will see you then, as we drop him out and bring in Mr. Steve Messa. And, sir, first off, I do want to commend you, despite the fact that we had discussed potentially delaying it, because as you said at the start, you were under the weather. You said, nope, we're going to do this. You soldiered through. You fought of your own volition tonight. And I think you put up a very valiant effort. But what are your thoughts following this?
Thoughts, tired, sore. Hopefully I don't have what I think I have. I hope it's not the case. That's honestly, that dude winning this battle was really not in my forefront. Honestly, but I didn't want to tank it. So I did the best I can do. I did I did a little bit of the most, a little bit of the least. Just found a perfect middle ground because we're in Battleground. As far as my future in Movie Battleground is concerned, I'm probably going to not retired. I'm not going to retire. If I'm going to say, I'll probably, if you need an alternate, put me in as an alternate for something, but don't rely on me to do like constant matches, because even after these two matches, they both take, even doing this one, it just took all that energy out. Just try to at least get that one damn point,
Yeah.
But it was a good matchup. I enjoyed Kevin's energy. I didn't look him up. I honestly didn't come prepared, because I wasn't, like we talked about, I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to do this up to this point, even before last week, because I'm like a little hesitant. But I will be in the realm of Movie Battleground, but don't put me on a lot of matches. If you need somebody to if you need a body to fill in for something, I'll be your Brock Lesnar. I'll be your Rock. I'll be that blockbuster name that brings everybody's attention. All kidding aside, yeah, but I'm not gonna be frequent here in Movie Battlegrounds. I lost, fair enough. So, good. Not worst case scenario, but best case scenario is that I don't have to keep going, and yeah, and probably unfortunately find myself slaughtered in the next round, based on your description of who my opponents would have been if I faced it. If it was any of Evan's caliber, any of them that were of Evan's caliber, and I'm guessing they are, it would have been a tough battle. But I still probably think I might have got my ass handed to me.
Well, absolutely. Well, the good thing is we don't live in the same place, so I could never force you to do anything. But of course, I would be happy to have you back in the future, and we will see where that takes us once we are out of the tournament season. But with that, Steve, thank you so much for your participation tonight. Thank you for soldiering through, obviously, for your health. We hope you get better very, very soon. And guys, that is it on another great match. Truly, Steve, again, in the health condition he's in, that was the one thing he was adamant about earlier today on the day of recording. He didn't want to reschedule. He didn't want to, make it a bigger thing of this. So he pushed forward. He played, and I think he played really, really, and I think he played as well as anyone could, feeling under, especially when your throat's hurting and it's a game of talking. Essentially, you are talking for long periods of time. But I think the story of tonight is Kevin Moreno and just how much he stepped up from that first match. He went from feeling completely just looking unconfident in himself and unfortunately taking that knockout to coming in and getting a victory. And that is what this is all about, man. It's a tournament. You never know what's going to happen. We've already had some surprising results. We'll have some surprising more down the road. But with that, guys, that is it for me and everyone here at Movie Battleground. Thank you guys so much for checking out this match. Please be sure to rate the video, comment, subscribe, interact with it. Stick around for more Movie Battleground matches because we have some going up every single week. I want to thank both of the great competitors tonight, Kevin Moreno and Steve Messa. I also want to thank our three great judges, Mr. Jake Reese, Miss Stacey Morris, and Mr. Noah McCausland for being here with us and judging this match. And on behalf of everyone at TMG Entertainment and my fellow producers at Movie Battleground, my name is Aaron Knoll, and we will see you next time on the Movie Battleground. Take care, guys.